Hi everyone, it's Trisha from Tribe to Village. Thank you for joining us. This is my tribe, but your family, so you are so appreciated. And today I'm joined by my good friend Aisha. Hi Aisha.
Hi.
And today we'll be talking about what a quote from one of Malcolm X's famous speech, right? And the quote goes, "Who taught you to hate yourself?"
Mm.
And that is so relevant to today. And Aisha and I were just talking about that the other day about how, we could use his words from the 60s and still apply it to our life today,
Mhm.
right? Because all of that is still incorporated in our journey for self love. So let's tackle that, Aisha. Let's tackle it for everyone here. What does that quote mean to you? Who taught you to hate yourself? And where does that take you on your journey to self love?
Yeah, no, that's a powerful, powerful question and quote. And what I end up thinking about is my childhood. A lot of
Me too.
the signals that you get in life about who you are or kind of your place in the world come from these external signals that you get.
Yeah. Who
And
you are, what you're supposed to look like, what you're
uh,
capable of, what you're not capable of, what you're worthy of, what you're not worthy of, blah, 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 blah.
exactly, exactly. So all these things from TV, from the news, even your society going into classrooms when you don't see Black professors and teachers.
Mhm.
I think back to my old job when I'm the only Black girl in my class. It was me and one other Black guy. And, people would always ask questions about my hair or like, my complexion. So
Mhm.
up growing up realizing that you're different, but it's not like you're different is being celebrated. It's just more questioned. And being a child, you tend to want to fit in a lot of times, so you wonder, like, why am I so different? No one is affirming that my Blackness is beautiful other than my mom.
Mhm.
You walk into society and in the classroom and you realize you're different and you don't know what to do with that different. Um,
Yeah.
so at least that's when I definitely identify, realizing I was different and I didn't know what to do with that. And it never meant beauty. It never meant like something great.
Mhm. Mhm. I definitely understand building negative associations as child in your childhood and how it relates to you today. Like even when I was growing up, there wasn't a vast representation of anything. Like my Barbie was always, European looking Barbie. Everyone, especially on the news, what did you associate Black people with on the news? Criminals, right? Murderers, rapists, robbers, always negative. And I remember that message seeped into me as a child, where I will associate anyone who looks like me with bad. Oh, you're a bad person, right? And anything who didn't look like me as good. So you see how even as a young child, you're receiving those messages and you don't even realize it. And so you grow up with with less self-worth, right? Because you weren't exposed to X, Y, and Z, or to a society that celebrated you as a child. So that's very important. But so when was the turning point for you, Aisha, when you realized, okay, yes, I may be different, but you know what? Like I'm worthy, like I'm beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And, I think I'm still working on it. There's moments where you're continuously struggling to kind of really own that, piece of myself. But, I think looking back, I actually think of this story. Now that you asked this question, I remember the story of like when I was working, and I used to work in a very like public programs. People would come and I'd do like introduce artists to the crowd and everything. And I remember there was a little kid staring at me, and I felt so self-conscious actually. Like, why is this kid staring at me? Oh my God, this is so awkward. What are they looking at? All my insecurities were were, flustering me. And, and as I turn around, all I hear is him say, mommy, look, Michelle Obama. What? Like, you yes, think I could be Michelle Obama? Like, oh, and it was just so funny. Like, I had to stop and laugh at myself because I'm like, you internalized him looking at you as something negative, Meanwhile, this boy is admiring everything about you, Yes. If this little kid can see the beauty in you, why can't you see the beauty in yourself? I mean, I don't think I'm Michelle Obama beautiful, but
you are Aisha beautiful. That's exactly. Just as noteworthy, okay?
Exactly. But that was one of those moments where you're like, okay, if this little kid, it's so funny, it's a little kid, but it just made me stop and think about, like, why do I think so negatively about myself? There are things about me that are admired. And if this little kid can see that, yes, I too should start thinking more positively about myself. It doesn't have to be something negative.
In your essence and living in your greatness, that is what makes you beautiful, even without knowing it. That's great. I think that's the turning point for me when I realized that I was beautiful was it happened way later in my adult life, believe it or not. Like we say, like, self-love is a journey. It's not like an overnight thing. It's a journey. And I remember thinking, wow, I'm really beautiful when I gave birth to my son, to my first son, right? Now there is no person that I think is more handsome than my boys. Like, you can't tell me anything. My babies are, they're my everything. My oldest son, he came out looking exactly like me. Right? Right? So seeing him being a reflection of me helped me to love myself. Like, okay, Trisha, you are beautiful on the inside and out. You are worthy. You are important. Not only for yourself, but for your children. Not only for your children, but for that black or brown girl walking down the street, or that black and brown boy walking down the street, or for everyone out there who needs to see you walk in your greatness. Yeah. And that's when I realized that, all right, you have to get it together and be the queen that you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Aisha, I know we're not the only ones in this world who are struggling with self-love. So what's one piece of advice that you could give our viewers who are on this journey as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess, excuse me. I guess what's worked for me, like, in this process has been grace. Extending myself the same level of grace and kindness that I would to a stranger. Just learning to be kinder to myself in the way I talk to myself, the way I think about myself. You always remind me of that when I'm, saying something that's not affirming of who I am and my potential, Think of that being, having grace and kindness for yourself, but also surrounding yourself with, like, people who support you just like yourself. You're constantly supporting me and reminding me, if I'm talking negatively, like, kind of what.
Yep. Stop it. I said, girl, stop it. Girl, bye.
Exactly.
So, and I just want to let you know that I do that for you, but only because my cousin does it to me all the time. I didn't even realize those negative thought patterns that I had until she started calling me out on it. And then so when I hear when I hear my sister thinking negatively about herself and blocking her blessings with these thoughts, I'm like, no, we have no time to put that out into the universe. Let's stop it before it manifests.
Yep.
And, my hope is that you could do that to someone else and they could do that to someone else until we have, unstoppable tribe of kings and queens just walking around with their head held high. Like, that would be a beautiful thing. Yes.
Yeah. No, it matters. It matters. Somebody out there needs you to be you.
Yes.
Looking back, thinking of people who I look up to or, thought were beautiful, like Viola Davis, seeing her for the first time being a dark-skinned Black woman on the carpet, elegant, being celebrated. Like, that was affirming.
Yep, celebrated for not only her looks, I mean, she's stunning, but her talent, her presence. Like, she walks in the room and you're like, who's that?
Your son will look at you and how you love yourself too, and learn how to love himself as well.
And that little boy with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, and we're out here breaking barriers, everywhere we go as professionals, even being Black and the only ones, maybe from our neighborhoods making it, or, working certain jobs and, breaking barriers in our lives. Like, somebody out there is going to look up to you and say, wow, Trisha did it. I can too. I should do it. I can too. And
yes.
For me, that's the hope. And the reason why I think it's so important to work on yourself. It's not just about you. It's about those coming behind you. Like you said,
yes.
The tribe, we're going to have all those kings and queens being great.
Yes. And just to piggyback off of what you're saying, my advice would be to fake it until you make it. Even though you might feel one way, look in the mirror and say, you are worthy. You got it. You the bomb. Look in the mirror, say it until you believe it. And eventually it's going to go into the universe, and that energy is going to manifest itself into something great. And next thing, you tell yourself that you are worthy, that you are loved. Yes. So once again, this is Trisha from Tribe to Village. Thank you, Aisha, for joining us today. And remember, it's all the colors of the rainbow that makes it beautiful. Embrace your differences. Love it. It's gorgeous. Okay. So thank you so much. And let's continue to elevate and grow together. And if you have, some affirmations that has helped you along your self-love journey, please just drop it in a comment, because you never know who you could help, who you could inspire. All right. And like, comment, share. We love you, and we will see you next time. Bye.